This right here is one of my all-time favorite drill complexes for hip mobility and function. Sometimes I like performing this prior to a workout, but even more common, I love doing this on a recovery day or the day prior to a big training session. For example, doing this the night before sumo deadlifts is absolutely fantastic, but this is simply going to be several different variations of the shin box get up done in a very specific manner. So the first of which is going to be a full reset shin box get up. So there's two variations of the shin box get up that are a little bit more classical that you may not understand the distinction between. So this once again is a full reset. I'll go ahead and get to my start position, stand tall, start with that hinge, get to the top, extend my hip fully, then a slow, careful hinge eccentric. But as you can see, I'm resetting completely every single repetition. Now, once I do several of these, I start doing right there, touch and goes. So I hinge, touch my glutes, come back up. Not a full reset. These are touch and go shin box get ups. And then I do the same thing on the other side, starting off with full resets and then transitioning to touch and goes, right? These touch and goes are fantastic to accumulate more reps. Typically, rep range wise, there's a lot of different ways to attack this, but typically I'll do anywhere from 3 to 5 full resets, anywhere from 5 to 8 touch and goes. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and do the shin box get up to a swivel. And this one I absolutely love, with one important caveat: if you do it correctly. There's a lot of people out there that basically turn this into a drill that you just go as fast as you can. There's going to be very little benefit to doing that if you do this in a very slow, controlled cadence, trying to promote the utmost stability within the hip capsule as well as the trunk. It can be fantastic, provide very robust benefits to a number of different things around our hip mobility and function. So as you can see here, I stand to the top, but the really important part here is how I go through my way back. So you'll notice that I almost do like a tempo single leg RDL kind of mechanics, almost with a little bit more knee flexion, not quite the exact same thing, but I'm very slow is my point. Now I'm trying to balance my weight over the down foot and not touch my back foot until the very last second. Ideally, I would go even a little slower than this, in all honesty. But once I get here, the swivel is one of the most important parts of this. I'm going to do this swivel as slow as possible. And keep in mind, that's a tall order. It is not easy to do this swivel slowly. It's going to be a very hard bias of yours to go as fast as possible, but we have to avoid that and force ourselves to go extremely slow. So as you can see here, I'm going to go as slow as I can. That still wasn't as slow as I'd like it to be. I think this next rep I do a little better job, but trust me, it's much easier to just go fast as hell. This next rep, again, I'm really consciously, there we go, it's a little slower. I'm consciously thinking about going as slow as feasibly possible. And then again, the same thing on the other side. Typically, I'll do anywhere from 2 to 4 repetitions of this. Doesn't take a lot to get a very, very beneficial stimulus. So once again, the exact cadence here is going to be roughly 3 to 5 full resets, 5 to 8 touch and goes, and then lastly 2 to 4 swivel steps. Then I transition to a weighted variation, or progressing through the same thing rather, in a weighted setting. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the kettlebell out in front here. This is a mere, I think, 30-ish pounds. Typically I like to go a little bit heavier, but I'll go through the exact same cadence from start to finish, and it ends up being absolutely fantastic. The swivel ends up being especially challenging here, especially challenging. And you have to balance over that front foot, that down foot, in a lot more intentional manner when you do it like this. But my goodness, is it fantastic. When you get done with this, your hips feel just incredible, especially if you do this on an off day or recovery day. You wake up the next morning feeling exponentially better, and typically your function within big compound lifts like the squat, like the deadlift, especially the sumo deadlift, is better in a very meaningful fashion. But if you guys have any questions about that, let me know. That is my favorite cadence for the shin box get up to improve function and mobility.